occur. I uploaded these pages to the website so you can see my notes. If you go to my website and you go to practice notebook or notebook practice pages, all these pictures are up there so you can fill in your notes if you need to, if you missed something or you weren't writing down things that we were writing down in class when you were supposed to get ideas about how to work out these problems. This was the warm-up from today, so we talked about that in class, but you could take a look at this. This was the next page that we did, and we wrote down some notes about, I know my last few periods we didn't do this page, but if you want to fill in these answers, you can. You can always pause the video as well to get the notes. To go to the next page, this is what we did in class. We talked about the cube. The cube, you find the area of just one of the faces, and then you multiply it by 6 because all the faces are the same and there's 6 faces. This one is the rectangular prism, and we have a formula for that, which we talked about in class a lot today, which is 2 Lake Wales plus 2 Winter Haven plus 2 Highlanders. That's our little acronym to help us remember for length times width, width times height, and height times length. We have the 2 beside each of these because one of them represents the front, which matches the back of the shape. The top matches the bottom, and the left side matches the right side. So that's why we say times 2. We did some estimation here, and we got 108, and then here is the real answer if you work it out. The next page we did in class was this. I think we just did this one mostly, and we talked about how it was not a cube because all the dimensions are different. So it must be a rectangular prism. Again, we use that same formula. 2 Lake Wales plus 2 Winter Haven plus 2 Highlanders. I think when we did in class, we did an estimation, but this is the real answer. For this one, it's the same exact thing as a rectangular prism. The thing that's a little tricky here is 2 of the dimensions are the same, which you still fill in those numbers. It's just you're going to have quite a bit of 0.5s, but that's okay. This one, they wanted you to draw the net, which I did here, and label each net with the measurements. And then you had to calculate it. So here's my work down here where you can see I calculated it. And this is the answer for both of them. See if I can zoom in. If I can. This one right here you can't read is, let me write it right here so you can see it's 12.544. It was cut off. If you go to the next page, we talked about the different nets here and these solid figures. We know this is a prism because it does not go to a single point. This is a pyramid, a prism, and a pyramid. It's named by their bases, so this would be a triangular prism. This is a rectangular prism, and this is a triangular pyramid. We talked about those in class. Now the next page is this one, and they wanted you to name, well, up here it said to name them, and here are the answers for that. Then this one said label each net with the name of the solid figure it forms. So again, it's named by the base, so it's a square. Pyramid because it's going to go to a single point. The base here is a triangle, so it's a triangle prism. It's not going to go to a single point. This base is a triangle, and it's going to go to a single point, so it's a triangle pyramid. And this base is a rectangle, and it's not going to go to a point, so it's going to be a prism, a rectangle prism. Again, these are the pages from our notebook. This was the next page where you had to calculate the surface area. Now, this one you kind of had to break it up like we kind of did on our warm-up today. So the first one, we would find the area of this one. These two are the same, so if you find the area of one of them, then you just multiply it by 2, and that gives you both of them. That's why I labeled them 2 and 2. Now these two can be put together. Yes, they are triangles. They can be put together, so it does make a parallelogram, and all you have to do is base times height 1 time. And then you add up all your answers. It looks like the answer is supposed to be, I think it's cut off. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. The answer is supposed to be 638.5 Actually, I think it's just 638 is the answer. So if you go to the next page, we have some more where you have to draw the net. And there's a square, that's the base, which is 4.1 times 4.1. There's that area. Then we could put these two triangles together, which would be 4.1 times 5, which gives you 20.5. And then you could put the other two triangles together, which gives you the same thing. And then you add up all your dimensions, or all your bases, and you get 57.81. B, same thing. This is that base. They told me the height of the base is 5.2, so it's 5.2 times 6, but it's a triangle. I have nobody to partner him up with, so I do have to cut this one in half, which would give me 15.6. This one is 6 times 10, but it is a triangle. I would have to cut it in half, but I'm partnering them together, so I just have to do base times height, which would be 60. This guy had no partner, so I have to cut him in half. So it would be 6 times 5, which is 30. And then I add up all three answers to get 105.6. Oh, we have a cube here. So I just have to find the area of one of the faces and multiply it by 6. And this is that answer. Oh, my students are already texting me, as you can hear it, asking for this video. The next one, these are just some shapes. This is a triangular pyramid, rectangular prism, a triangular prism. What's kind of sneaky about this guy is you don't see the other triangle, which would be the match of this guy. Ooh, whoops. And then this is a square or rectangular pyramid. So when you go to the next page, now they ask for the dimensions, or what would be the surface area of each of these. So I did A, I did B, I did C, but it looks like it's cut off also, which C's answer should be 60. And then D is on the side right here, and this was kind of tricky. You're going to have to really pause this and look at this. But my answer should be at the very end. It should be 32.1 right here. 32.1. So, anyway, there is all the workbook pages or practice pages we would do in class. So now let's talk about your homework for tonight. I have to scroll back here. And your homework tonight would be right here. So here you have to find the definitions for each of these and match it with, this is not the right letter, I just was showing in class. So the amount of space occupied by an object, what would that be? To me, I'm thinking that might be volume. I could be wrong, but you need to go back and you look through your pages and look for those bolded words. And that a lot of times will tell you the answers. Or they're out to the side sometimes. But the amount of space an object takes up, let me see if I can find volume somewhere. Oh, I see it. It's on page 119. Volume is the amount of space occupied by an object. So for 1, I would put volume, which would be F, cross it off. And then you go to the next one and the next one. But all of these definitions are in your notebook pages. You do not need to do the remember. Go to the next page. And here we have, it says name the solid figure formed by the net. So I'm looking and I see that this is probably going to not be a pyramid. It's not going to go to one point. It's going to be a prism of some sort. But I know a rectangular prism looks like a shoebox. This is not going to look like a shoebox. It's going to look like a tent. So I'm thinking this has to be a triangular, or we can just put triangle prism. So that means the triangle here would be the base. Now this is going to look like a shoebox, B, so it's not going to go to one point, so it's going to be a prism again. But this is going to be the base, and so what is that shape of that base? That is going to be your answer that goes with prism. What's that shape? I'm not going to tell you. You have to fill it in. Now the next one for A and B, Now for A and B, you're going to be drawing the nets like you see in number 1, A and B. So 2A and B are the solid figures. Now you're going to create the nets. What would it look like if you took all the faces apart and laid them flat? So I know A is pretty easy, but let's look at B. Well, I know the base of it is a square. Now what is going to be attached to that base? What are those shapes? They're triangles. Now how many triangles are you going to draw? That is the question. Let's see what you do. 3, you have to calculate the surface area. But I see that's a cube. We have a formula that we use for the cube to do the surface area. Let's see if you can remember it from the notes. You find it. Number 4, the pyramid shown has a square base. Calculate the surface area of this. So you got to find the area of the base, and then you got to find the area of the triangles. Now, I will give you a hint. You might be able to put these two guys together and not have to cut anything in half. You might be able to put these two guys together and not have to cut anything in half. If you do it that way, you should only be adding 3 areas together. Let's see if you can figure it out. Number 5 says estimate, then calculate the surface area of a rectangular prism. Oh my goodness, you should know the formula for this. It's 2 times something plus 2 times something plus 2 times something. We talked about this in class a lot. Now you have to remember they're giving you the length. This would be the length. This is the width, and this is the height, and they told you that you can estimate. How about this? This will be our secret. Why don't you just estimate, and you don't have to do the real calculation? But you only know this because you watched the video. The other people will not know this. So only estimate for this one. It's our little secret. You do not have to do the stretch. The review, these are all review. The A says calculate the total amount of memory. So what would you have to do? You need to add up these decimals, but you need to remember your rules for adding decimals. You must line up your decimals and then bring it straight down. Part B, it says how much out of 700 will she have left? Well, the keywords have left means you're going to be subtracting the total that you get for A from 700. So it should look something like 700 decimal, and then whatever you get here goes down below, and then you got to subtract, bringing down your decimal. Part A on number 2, they're asking what's between 2.5 and 3. Think of it as money. What's between $2.50 and $3? $2.75. I want you to try B, but think about what we learned the last few weeks about figuring what would be in between these two. Remember, you don't have to keep 8 as a bottom number. You can use a different bottom number. And 3, you have to add up these, but remember to line up your decimal and bring it down. Anyway, I hope this helps you. Have a good night. And again, I'm not doing a question today. I did put something in the middle, just a little bit back, about reward for watching the video. But I want you to try really hard tonight. I expect 100% on our homework tonight. Have a good night.